Get volume on there. Thought I'd start out today by opening up with one that most of us will remember, called "What a Friend We Have in Jesus." Because there's a lot of things we face on a daily basis. In this song, it talks about the griefs that we try to bear ourselves. It talks about all the heartaches and everything. But we have a friend that's right there beside us. And a friend is not going to leave your side. A friend is going to be there with you till the end. Like I was talking to someone this morning. I remember whenever I was really young, really immature, but I was trying to stay in. I saw a guy going out, and I knew that he wasn't in the right mindset to be driving, much less be going out where he was going. Even though I didn't want to go, and I couldn't talk him into staying, I went to protect him, to keep him out of any more trouble than he was already going to be in, and try to bring him back in, trying to be a friend. I couldn't change what he did, but I could try to be a voice of reasoning in times of his distress. Jesus and the Holy Spirit and God, they give us that free will to make the choices ourselves. They're not going to change our mind and keep us from doing stupid stuff, regardless of what it is, but they're going to be there with us, trying to whisper and trying to get us to do the right thing when those times come. And that's what this friend is to me. And we do definitely have a friend in Jesus. If you know it, sing along with me. What a friend we have in Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Have we trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere? We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Can we find a friend so faithful, who will all our sorrows share? Jesus knows our every weakness. Take it to the Lord in prayer. I know there's like 2-3 more verses on that, but apparently I printed off the wrong one. So we're just going to do those two. Don't exactly know how it's all going to come today, this morning, because I kind of got reminded of something right before I walked out of my room. We're right smack in the middle of Hanukkah. Now, I know this right here is like a Jewish tradition, Jewish holiday, but it's also a Messianic Jewish holiday. Messianic is different than the Orthodox and the other Jewish traditions because they believe that Jesus is the Messiah, that he actually did come, and that he was rose again, that he is the Son of God. But yet, they continue to practice the Jewish traditions. Hanukkah is right in between the Old Testament and the New Testament. What happened was, whenever the In the book of Maccabees, you find the history where the Maccabean army came down. They were fighting alongside the Pharisees, coming back to take the temple. This after it was already overtaken, right? But it was the temple was disgraced. Sacrifices of pork and everything to foreign gods was inside. So it was a disgrace to the temple. It was unsanitary. It was dirty, filthy. It had to be cleaned. They busted up a lot of stuff, stole a lot of stuff. To sacrifice, do a sin forgiveness sacrifice. In the Jewish traditions, you had to have like incense burning, you had to have a lamp burning, all this and that. When they finally overtook the temple or brought it back in to the Jewish, they found one bottle of fat that they used to light the candle and for it to burn, and it's supposed to be lit for 8 days. They only had one. That was enough for one night. So they prayed and they went ahead and started the process to make more oil. It's an 8-day process. So they put the oil up, burned it, and started the process. That oil that's supposed to have only been enough for one night lasted 8 days, for them to make more oil, to continue sacrificing, cleansing, and devoting everything back to God. And they say this right here is a sign, it's a miracle of bringing the light back into the temple from God, not from man. Because here was something that was unheard of. Just like the bread and stuff that Jesus was doing, breaking it out and feeding all these thousands of people and having excess. Is what should be scientifically and by all naturality one thing, and it's going beyond what you can't even imagine. And this right here are signs that God has given, that He is right there with us to help us in times if we trust in Him by faith, not by nature. And that's what I wanted to talk about this morning, was signs. We find that in Matthew 16, it reads a little bit different than what Mark writes. Mark, I believe it's chapter 8. He only says the Pharisees, and he's called by a different name because he's writing to the Romans at that time, to the Gentiles. Matthew is writing to the Hebrews, so he's going to be writing with the words and stuff that they would know as a Hebrew terms. And he's also going to put it into a way that they would understand it better. So Matthew, start first in chapter 16. Well, let's go back to the last verse of 15, verse 39. And sending away the multitudes, he got into the boat and came to the region of Magadan. And the Pharisees and Sadducees came up and tested him, asking him to show them a sign from heaven. But he answered and said to them, when it is evening, you say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, there will be a storm today, for the sky is red and threatening. Do you know how to tell or discern the appearance of the sky, but cannot discern the signs of the times? An evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and a sign will not be given it, except the sign of Jonah. And he left them and went away. Now, of course, we know there's all kinds of signs and everything. And he mentions a lot of stuff going on here. The reason why I like this, where it says Magadan, is this is believed to be the birthplace and where Mary Magdalene, whose 7 demons was cast out of, came from. So they would have known her. They would have known her story. They already seen signs. But yet, here's the Pharisees and Sadducees both coming. Not Pharisees and scribes this time, Pharisees and Sadducees. A lot of times we miss over certain things. Scribes was the ones that was all about the law and trying to depict what everybody was doing and trying to make other rules, other policies, other procedures, trying to keep on in track what they interpret the laws to have said, what they think the law is supposed to mean. Pharisees and Sadducees was the ones that stayed in the temple. You had the Sadducees that was in charge and the ones over the Sanhedrin, the synagogue. And the Pharisees was the lower one, just like the Democrats and Republicans in the House, and everything else. You had the Sadducees and Pharisees. totally different theologies, always bickering, couldn't agree on something. But they came out together in two places in the book of Matthew. That's what I'm getting to. Two places you'll find that it was Pharisees and Sadducees, not Pharisees and scribes. The first place was John the Baptist when they came out to try to see what he was doing, try to debunk him being a prophet of God, him being a forerunner. The second time was here, when they came out trying to debunk Jesus. Now, he's already did all this other stuff. He's already raised the girl from the dead. He's already cast demons out left and right. He's already broke bread and fed thousands of people. He's already calmed the seas. What more do you want? But here they are saying, give me a sign. Give us a sign. Let us know that you're for real. To me, being a Westerner, I really don't understand the whole of it. But in the Jewish times, the one this is writing to, the ones asking, it's actually in Deuteronomy, what they're getting at. If you go back to Deuteronomy 13, this is what Moses writes. If a prophet or a dreamer of dreams arises among you and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes true, concerning which he spoke to you, saying, let us go after other gods, whom you have not known, and let us serve them, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God testing you to find out if you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. You shall follow the Lord your God and fear him, and you shall keep his commandments. Listen to his voice, serve him, and cling to him. But that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has counseled rebellion against the Lord your God, who brought you from the land of Egypt and redeemed you from the house of slavery, to seduce you from the way in which the Lord your God commanded you to walk. So you shall purge the evil from among you. All right. I know that's a lot of words there, but let's break it down. Basically what he's saying is, remember whenever I brought you out of Egypt. You remember that you had signs there on both sides. Because whenever Moses went in there and laid down the staff, it turned into a snake, right? But you had 3 other magicians that was over there. Each one of those had sticks as well. And they laid their sticks down. Y'all remember what happened to them? Yeah, they turned into snakes as well. And then the one that Moses had ate all 3 of them. C.S. Lewis said, whatever is greatest, that is God. If there comes to be one greater than that one, then that will be God and not the first. And so what they were saying is that we can do the same signs you can, but the one that was given the power to Moses was showing that he was greater than the ones that was given power to the false prophets, to the magicians. Same thing happened with the water, with the firstborns and everything else. So what he's saying here is, don't just look for the signs. You have to look for the message as well. Anybody can say a good game. We see that all the time on news and in our culture, you name it. Car salesmen. I mean, it's all around. Politicians. We're tired of car salesmen. You can't just listen to words. You have to go back and look at actions. Look at the fruit. Look at the signs that's been coming with that. That's what we walk around here doing. We say one thing, but if our actions say something else, then that's a sign for us. Well, they're coming here asking for a sign because a sign of a prophet, of a true prophet of God, is 2 things. One, if they say something that's going to happen and it doesn't come true, then they're a false prophet. They'll be put to death in their custom. By saying something that has not happened yet and it coming true, it shows that they have knowledge from someone greater than us, greater than humans. So there is one of the signs of being a true prophet. The other one is whenever you have a miraculous event, like some signs they would call for or claim that they would let the waters divide, like in Joshua when they marched across the Jordan River and the river split open and they walked across dry land, or Moses came and the Red Sea did the exact same thing. That's what they were looking for a lot of times. And they weren't really looking for this other stuff that already happened, but they were trying to do this for a reason. Just like in Star Wars when they say, it's a trap. Well, Jesus knew that in here, it's a trap. He already knew their heart. Because we go back to being God as one. And depending on how you twist things, and people is always trying to twist the Bible, trying to twist scriptures so they can be comfortable, so they can learn what they can keep doing what they're doing without changing, without hurting. But we find that instead of God being one literal sense, if you go to the Greek word that Jesus uses, when it says a man and a woman comes together to be one, it is a unity coming together to act as one. The exact same Greek word of one is used in another place to describe God. God is one, which means a unity. Three coming together for one. Exact same word, exact same meaning. However, if you take the literal one, then you have grounds to say, we got you. Show us a sign, doesn't matter. If you refuse to do the sign, then we're going to say you can't do them and you're false. If you do the sign, we're going to come and say you're doing it under Beelzebub like they already tried once before. And we're going to come after you that way and try to put you to death. So it was a trap no matter how he went. Which leads us to the next thing he said. He went to tell them about the skies. And then I was reading that, and I looked, at night, the sky is red. And they said it's going to be a good night, a good calm wind. The next morning, it's red. And they say, beware of it. Same sign, just different situation. Same thing can happen today. Whenever we're doing something, it's not so much as what we're doing, but the intent and the situation in which we're doing it in. Sometimes we can have the best intentions, but if we're doing it at the wrong timing, in the wrong manner, it can be totally different, totally wrong. Just like the skies. So we have to discern the signs in people, the signs in ourselves, in our own spirit, just like the signs of the times. And this right here is the only place you see it mentioned about signs of time. But yet we use it all the time. And it was spoken by Jesus. Because we know as things keep changing, it's nothing new. People's been doing this. But it gets worse and worse, and we know that it's getting ready for him to come back. The more we read it, we see the signs are coming. This month we represent roughly 2024 years ago, of a child being born from a virgin. A miraculous event. And there was already signs that was depicted in that. But the ones that read this and had the signs written, their own people wasn't seeing it. They got so caught up in the legalism of their rules that they forgot the true meaning of their rules was depicting and bringing them up to be ready for this day. Instead, you had wise men from other faiths, from other regions that was watching and saw the signs themselves and came. God's all around us. If we're looking for him, we're going to find him. But if we're not, there's no sign whatsoever that's going to show him to us. There's a poem that Elizabeth Barrett Browning wrote. I think it's pretty good. It's only 4 lines. It says, "Earth is crammed with heaven, and every common bush a fire with God. But only he who sees takes off his shoes. The rest sit around it and pluck blackberries. think about that, everything around us, we can see a miracle in if we're looking. But you have to be looking for it. Sometimes it's very hard to find a miracle. Sometimes it's very hard to find joy in things. I had someone I was counseling one time, wasn't saying anything until I asked about a family member, and his mom had just been diagnosed with cancer, and it never hit me before how to be thankful for this until at that moment. I asked about what's the blessing in that. And that sounds like a very stupid question, don't it? Now keep in mind, this wasn't coming from me at that time. Because I normally wouldn't ask that question for that. But it shocked him for a second, and that's when I started asking. I said, well, before then, how long has she been hurting, going downhill, and nobody knew? Why? How long has it been since you had quality time with her? How long has it been since you really took account for the time that you had, and not just going in, dropping off your clothes to be washed and leaving, saying, hi mom, bye mom, not knowing what in the world's going on, why she's hurting like she is. But now you know the reason why she's hurting. Now you know that the time is drawing near. So now you can make arrangements. Now you can make memories. Now you can say, I have to stop and make time before it's too late. And you're like, I wish I would have done this. Now you can start having quality time with her. Because all that stuff had been happening. So not only that, but now the doctors know what's going on, and they can try to help her be at more ease. That's the blessings of it. But if you're not thinking on a different perspective, or you're only looking at what the world wants you to see right in front of you, you'll miss out on the blessings, even in the darkest of circumstances like that. I would like to add that she did go into remission a little bit later and had a full recovery, praise God. But how many times are we just going through, looking at things in the ways of the world, and we're missing the signs that's right in front of us? One of the theologians, talking about signs and all, put the sign of truly religious people is not that they come to church to find God, but that they find God everywhere. Not making a great deal out of sacred places, but that they sanctify common places. God already sent His Son down to die for us. He's already opened our hearts and our lives to Him. He's already gave us the Word, the very first deity ever known to give mankind his likes and dislikes was in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. Before that, they were playing guessing games. What are you doing? What kind of sacrifice are you making to appease the gods and all this? How much more does He have to do to show us He's right here? The problem isn't that we don't see, but that we don't want to see sometimes. Because I admit it, there's some of my ways that I'm comfortable in, I really don't want to change. You know? And whenever I read, it kind of hurts to know I have to change. And this isn't a once and done thing. Because we're constantly growing in Him. We're constantly going to be coming into situations where it's like, okay, what's the best way to do this? Because my flesh, I really want to take Him by the throat and just throw Him out the window, you know, but I can't do that. And we have to take a step back. That's flesh. That's all of us if it goes through trials like that from time to time. But it takes more strength to give it back to God and to look for those times that we could be a sign and we could be the blessing that someone else is seeking for and looking for. I know I've went through a lot here, but basically says, what are you looking for? Are you really looking for God in things around you? What are you waiting for? And can you see the presence of God? Or are you looking at the mask of the world? That's the three things I'm asking. Because the world does not want you to see God. They want you to see what's right in front of you. One of my favorite verses, I'm not going to quote it, I'm going to mess it up if I try to right now. But it's found in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 4. It says, in whose case the God with a little g of this world has blinded the minds of the unbelieving, that they might not see the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God, which is the big G. Signs all around us. Now keep in mind, this is the Pharisees and Sadducees that was asking for signs, trying to debunk the Son of God. This right here is both parties, every party of the head of the synagogue is coming out there trying to debunk Jesus. That there in itself is a message to me. Be mindful of who you're listening to. Churches, preachers, seminaries, their teachers. I don't care what kind of degree they have. My degrees are worthless if I'm getting away from Him. Take everything I say and go back to the scriptures and study for yourself to see that I'm still staying on track. Don't take my word for it. That's why I tell you where I'm reading from. Do the same thing with everybody else, because a lot of times they're going to take things and they're going to try to break it down where you see what they want you to see, but they'll leave out the rest. I can give you an example of that, believe it or not. In Matthew 19, Jesus speaking says, have you not read that He who created them from the beginning made them male and female? And said, for the cause of man shall leave his father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. There's that one I was talking about, that's meaning of the two coming together as one. Unity. Now I know of one denomination that has tried to bring other people into their church, because more comfortable, come as you are, so to speak, instead of staying with what they were taught from the beginning. And if you look at it, they have broke down that male or man can be used as a man or a woman in the Greek words can. So it means human beings, a male or female. And they are exactly right. The Greek words, the Hebrew words can mean both. Whenever they talk about man, He created man. He created humans. He created man and woman. But they stopped there. If they were to continue to go, then they would have to also express that when He says female or woman, it can only be interpreted as the sexual female or woman. It will never take the place of man. Never. But to try to swing and try to make people more comfortable, they'll only depict about the male part and the man part and leave the rest out. This is what people does, is looking for signs and a message that they want to hear. But this right here book, it's alive. It was written over a 1,500-year stretch. 66 different letters by 40 different writers, but one author, which means the same thing that's said in one that has a meaning in the Old Testament is the exact same thing in the New Testament. We're looking for the meanings, the message. And that's what I'm passing on to y'all. Don't just look for what's right there. Look for the signs that you can see. Look for the message behind it and what God is trying to tell you through it. Is it legit? And where's it coming from? Is it coming from the true prophets, His word? Or is it coming from man? That's the only two places. I do have one more old-timey song I wanted to sing to you. And y'all might be questioning my age after this one. But it's got a big message in it. Now, there's a lot of people that wonders how you pray it and everything else. The last thing that Matthew writes. The last thing that Matthew writes, and thank God for reactions. Jesus says that I'll never leave you or forsake you, which means He'll be with you to the end. And if we believe what He said when He was here, and what He said came about, then we believe what He said in the future is going to happen. This that I read, it said there will be no sign but that of Jonah. And a lot of times we try to look at Jonah as being, okay, he went and told them the gospel and they repented. That's a good message, but that's not the one he's talking about. Back about 3 chapters earlier, we find that he made the exact same message out to the Gentiles, and they were amazed and shocked, like, yes, that's it. Just like Jonah was in the well for 3 days, so will the Son of Man, so will the Son of God be in the ground for 3 days. Just like Jonah came out, so will the Son of Man. And there was hundreds of witnesses that saw it when he came out. This is the final thing that he said to them. That was going to be their sign. So, even though he refused to give them one right then, and as we can see signs all around, he gave them the sign that was to come and pass. He told them the future of what was going to happen. And I'm telling you ahead of time, because when you see it, you know that it was from God. So he told them that, and it did happen. Plus, the more powerful was that it was a sign he was raised from the dead. And they saw him, hundreds. And they could not debunk it, no matter how much they tried. All right. I was talking about prayer. We started off by he's a friend. Just like you talk to a friend, talk to him. He's right there to listen to you. If you find that you've been looking at the wrong things, find you've been looking for the wrong things, you've been missing him, tell him. He's there to forgive you. He's there to help you through your hard times. He's there to bring you back whenever you wander astray. He's there to comfort you in no matter what kind of pain you're going through. And if there happens to be someone that's listening or hasn't been there that does not know him, he's right there to show you if you truly seek him. Open your heart and just say, show me you. Because I believe the Bible, one of these days we're going to see him. And this song is what you're going to tell him. The preacher told about